ॐ अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो ब्रह्मण्यदेवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्हिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। सर्वेभ्यो नमः। सर्वेषां कृते स्वागतम्. In the last three sessions, we reviewed the ideas that we learned in the first three chapters of Bhagavad-Gita. In today's session, we will begin a review of the next three chapters, chapters 4 to 6. This is how I have identified the key themes in these chapters. The first theme is Sri Bhagavan's divine nature. The second is about Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga and the relationship between them. The third is about the jnana itself and the person who possesses jnana, jnani. Fourth, it's about controlling the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. This is a recurring theme throughout the Bhagavad Gita, and it receives a lot of attention in these three chapters. Then, the idea that progress in yoga is not lost, but it carries across births. And finally, the conclusion of these three chapters and of the first 6 chapters of Gita is that the bhakta is the best among the yogis. So we will touch upon that too. So today's session, we will do the first 3 themes. We will spend some time on understanding the meaning of jnana and the jnani. So we will begin with contemplation on Sri Bhagavan's divine nature, and I will narrate briefly the Leela of Sri Bhagavan as Vamana Deva. So this narrative begins with Bali, the king Bali, who is the son of Prahalad. Prahalad is a well-known bhakta. Prahalad, Hiranyakashipu, and Sri Bhagavan appeared as Narasimha in that Leela. So his son's name was Virochana. His grandson's name was Bali. And Bali was a very powerful king, very dharmic. He understood dharma very well, and he was very much adhering to dharma. But he was materialistic in his mentality. Just like any materialist, he wanted to expand his kingdom and capture as much of space as possible. So the Leela goes, to tell you the thing in a nutshell, that he goes and he captures the Swargaloka, where Indra, who's rightfully appointed as the king of Swargaloka, is ruling along with the other devas. And Bali actually, by the universal system, has no place there. But he, because of his power, he gathers immense power by virtue of the yajnas he performs. And with the blessings of different brahmanas, of his own guru, etc., he gets enough power to go there with a huge army. And his army is so powerful that Indra doesn't even challenge him, or he doesn't have to challenge Indra. By his very presence, Indra just leaves the place and goes. And when Indra goes to his guru, Brihaspati advises him that you cannot take him on. He's too powerful. So only Vishnu can help you. So go to him. So then what happens subsequently, Indra's mother, who is Mother Aditi, she's a wife of Kashyapa. Indra is a son of Aditi and Kashyapa. So she becomes very morose when she sees that her sons are the devas. So her sons have been driven out of their rightful land. So she becomes very morose. And then Kashyapa advises her that you perform a payovrata. Payovrata means it's a very, very austere tapasya by which you worship Vishnu. And it spans over several days. In particular, in a 12-day period, you perform several types of austerity and pujas and so on. And during the time, you drink only milk. You don't take any other food. That's why it's called payovrata. Payas means milk. So she performs that very sincerely, like her husband has advised her. And immediately, shortly after that, Vishnu appears as her son, and he knows why she has asked for him. So he tells her that I will appear as your son, and he does that. He first appears in the mind of Kashyapa. So Kashyapa is a very powerful rishi, very pure in his mind. So Shri Bhagavan first appears there, and from him he moves to the body of Mother Aditi. So Mother Aditi carries this baby Vishnu in her womb for some time. And if you see the way it is described in the Ashtama Skanda of Bhagavatam, when his time of appearance has to come, that is the Shravana Dwadashi, he just appears outside. Okay, so unlike the way a normal human baby comes out of the mother's body, very unlike that, Shri Bhagavan just manifests himself outside when the time comes. So, and he comes not like a normal human baby, he comes in his full original form, the form of Vishnu, holding all the weapons that he has, his ornaments, his garland, his dress, his appearance, exactly like his original form, he appears there. And shortly after his appearance, when people have cognized that he has appeared and they start offering him their worship, he takes the form of a Vamana. Vamana means a dwarf. Vamana word in Sanskrit means a dwarf, a small person who is shorter than his normal height. So he takes that form as a Vamana, as a dwarf boy, a Brahmana boy. And he is blessed by everybody around. His Upanayana ceremony is performed. And after the yajna is over, he starts walking from there. In the meantime, Bali is busy performing the Ashwamedha Yaga. You see, in the case of Bali, he has occupied Indra's place illegally, not in the rightful process. So he performs the rightful process, which is the process of Ashwamedha Yajna. It is said that if a king has to become Indra in a future birth, the process to do that is to perform 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. Each Ashwamedha Yajna is a huge affair. It spans years. It's not just a short thing, overnight thing. So 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas is a massive, massive project. So he's doing that now. All the Brahmanas, his supporters are helping him. The powerful Brahmanas whose blessings have helped him to become that. So they are helping him now to perform this 100 Ashwamedha Yajna so he can legitimize his position there as Indra. So now Vamana Deva appears there. And when Vamana appears there, everybody, they see his appearance, his effulgence, his extraordinary aura. They invite him, they worship him. And Bali, being a very dharmic king, he sees a Brahmana has come, so he worships him. And he takes the water on his head. And he says that, I'm very blessed by your presence here today. You have come here to ask me for something. Okay, it is normal for Brahmanas to visit great kings, particularly when they do puja and so on, and receive gifts from the king. Brahmanas live like that, right? They don't go and earn money. They don't have a salary. They earn by doing their service, and in return for the service, they are given whatever in charity by kings and other Brahmanas and so on. So he says, please feel free to ask me whatever you want. I'll give you. Everything, these three worlds belongs to me. I'll give you whatever you like. Then Vamana replies, he says that, what would I need? I'm just a poor brahmachari boy. And for the sake of charity, for the sake of this process, I will ask you to give me 3 steps of land. That's enough. So at that point, Bali is surprised and his arrogance comes out. So his ego that I am the master of this universe, everything belongs to me, the 3 worlds are mine, I'm ruling everything. That comes out in his statement. He tells this little boy, he says, you're just a kid, small kid. You don't know what to ask for. If you had probably been a grown-up Brahmana, you would have asked me for some houses or cows and gold and things like that. But What is this? What are you asking for? 3 pieces of land? I own everything. I can give you any amount. I can give you a whole island. I can give you this, that. So what are you asking? Just ask me something tangible, something that I can feel good about giving you. Right? So he says that. Then Vamana replies, and that reply is very beautiful. He says that if I don't have the original shlokas, but if you see that in the Bhagavatam, he replies, he says essentially that if a man is not satisfied by a gift of 3 pieces of land, he will not be satisfied with anything. No amount of wealth in this world can satisfy anybody, because if a person has a desire for wealth, then his desire for wealth will remain unsatisfied how much ever wealth you give him. So I don't have such a desire. I'm blessed. So for the sake of satisfying you, I'm just saying, give me 3 pieces of land. That's enough for me. And I'm happy with that. So then Bali says, okay, if that's what you want, that's your fate, be it, I'll give you. So he grants that. And just as he is about to perform that process for granting that, there's a way by which you make a dan. You do some achaman and you offer some water and arghya and so on. And then you chant some mantras and offer it as dan. So just when he's about to do that, his guru, Shukracharya, comes up. And because Shukracharya is considered the foremost of kavis, he's very scholarly and he's very intelligent. He's got very bright insight. Right? So in the Gita also, Sri Bhagavan says in the 10th chapter, we are going to read that next. Kavina Mushana Kavi refers to Shukracharya. Among all the kavis, I am Shukracharya, he says. He's so intelligent. So Shukracharya comes up and he has already made out, even before all this began, he has made out that this boy is nothing but Vishnu himself. Vishnu has come here and he has come with a purpose. He has come here to protect his bhaktas, the Indra and the other devas. And he has come because of the austerities performed by his mother, Aditi. And now the time has come for me to advise my disciples. So he tells him in front of Vamana that, look, this boy is not just any Brahmana boy. So just hold on. Put the brakes. This is just Vishnu himself. This Vishnu has come here and he's come here to trick you. He was asking for 3 pieces of land, but if you grant it, then he will take away all that you have with you. And you will not be able to give him everything that you have, because even with 2 steps, he will take away more than what you can give him. So please stop, he says. So then there's a conversation between Shukracharya and Bali, where Shukracharya tries to convince him that, look, you are a dharmic king and I don't want to break dharma, but there is a provision in dharma. It's just like in law. Law is very fine, right? Modern law. And there are so many provisions with which you can justify some action which may not look appropriate initially, but you can justify it by citing some previous cases, by citing certain clauses and conditions and subclauses and so on. So he cites some clauses. He says that, see, this is a provision that under certain circumstances, you can go back on a promise that you have made. And this is particularly true when somebody has come to cheat you. If somebody has come to cheat you and you made a promise to that guy unknowingly, then you can take back your promise without any karma for that. There'll be no pap in doing that. So don't worry about it. I will protect you. Just follow what I say as your guru. But Bali is not convinced. He says that no, as per the principles of dharma, once I have made a promise, it doesn't matter if he cheats me. I will not cheat him. He wants to cheat me, let him cheat me. But I have made a promise to him and I will keep the promise. Let him take away everything that he wants. I don't care. So his heart is very soft there. And knowing that this is Vishnu, at that point, he gets that kripa of a bhakta, which is his own grandfather Prahlad. That knowing that this is Vishnu, knowing that he's going to take away everything that I have, his materialism vanishes. And he says that, okay, let him take away everything from me. I don't mind. But I will not go back on this word. I've given a word to him, and I will keep this word no matter what. He makes a promise there. He takes up that vow. And for that, he becomes very glorious because of doing that. So he makes that vow and he knows that now everything is going to be gone. So and he and his wife together come and they make that arghya, they make that offering. And then they offer it to Vamana to take away whatever he wants. So immediately at that point of time, as soon as this offering is made, that small boy begins to expand in size. And it's described in the Bhagavatam, it's described very beautifully how he expands. And this beauty can be understood only by reading that original Sanskrit shloka. Okay, today I haven't brought it for want of time, but the way he expands his body in such a manner that he covers all the space in this universe. just covers everything that is there. And with his one step, he covers the entire Bhuloka. With his second step, he covers all the upper planetary systems, and his body has covered the lower planetary systems. So there is nothing now left in Bali's possession which he can now offer, and two steps only have been taken. So then Vamana turns to him. Basically, his mission was to destroy this person's arrogance. Already it is destroyed, but he wants to seal it. So he scolds him. He says that, look, very proudly, very arrogantly, you promised me that you will give me 3 steps of land, but now you have given me only 2. Now, where is the third one? Please give me. So Bali has understood what is going on. He's already known, his guru has warned him. So he's anticipating this. And so he just stands there. And immediately the karma of not keeping the promise comes on him. He is bound there. And Prahlad appears there. All the great sages appear there because it's an extraordinary leela performed by Sri Bhagavan. So they all appear there to watch this happening. And Prahlad comes and they tell him that, look, you have done something, out of your way. You've gone, you captured the kingdom of Indra, then you made a promise with great pride to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan has taught you a lesson, and he's also given you his blessing. It's by his blessing that all this has happened to you in your life, because it doesn't happen to anybody, right? Normally it doesn't happen to anyone. Even the most papi won't experience this, but here Bali Maharaj experiences all this. So then they request Bhagavan to bless him and release him from the wrong that he has done, that he's not able to keep the promise. So Sri Bhagavan blesses him at that point of time. That's where the Bhakta's Kripa comes. He says that, don't worry, I will protect you. So you have not kept this, so you are punished to go down to the lower planetary. He goes down to Sutala. You see, among the 7 planetary systems, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Patala, Rasatala, like that. So Sutala is one of them. So he's asked to go down to Sutala, and he stays in Sutala. So he's given protection. Vishnu tells him that you will stay there till the end of this Manvantara. This is called the Vaivasvata Manvantara. The next Manvantara is called the Savarni Manvantara. So in the Savarni Manvantara, Bali Maharaj will be the Indra. He will be born as Indra, and he will rightfully be the Indra of Svargaloka. So he will live one Manvantara as the Indra of Svargaloka. So Sri Bhagavan performs this extraordinary Leela as Vamana. And that's exactly what he is saying in the Gita, that Janma karma cha me divyam, 4th chapter of Gita. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atmamaya. I'm not born. See, I'm actually ajaha. Ajaha means one who has no birth. Ajopi san avyayatma. I don't have vyaya, means I don't have death also. But I manifest myself whenever I want. Sambhavami atmamaya, he says. Similarly, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, one who understands that my birth and my activities are not like the birth and activities of ordinary people or ordinary living beings. They are divya. Janma karma cha me divyam. Divya means beyond the 3 gunas of Prakriti. Why our activities are not divya? Because we are under the 3 gunas of Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. They control our thinking, our intelligence, our actions. Even the action that we perform, even a small movement that we perform, the physical movement, is performed by Prakriti, not performed by us. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvasha. Right? So we only desire. Ichha comes from us, but actions happen by Prakriti. But Sri Bhagavan is not like that. Okay, Bhagavan's appearance, his movement, his leelas are performed by him, and his Yogamaya. His Yogamaya assists him, not controls him, assists him. Whereas Mahamaya controls us, not assists us. She controls us and makes us follow her dictums. So Sri Bhagavan is extraordinary. That's one of the dominant themes of Bhagavad-gita, and it first appears in the 4th chapter. Until the 4th chapter, Sri Bhagavan doesn't talk about himself. From the 4th chapter onwards, slowly he reveals himself to us. And that is the basis for later on talking about Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga comes later. But first we should understand Bhagavan before we perform Bhakti to him. Right? So from there, we move on to the theme of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So in the last 3 sessions, we spoke a lot about Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga was first introduced in the 2nd chapter and then elaborately described in the 3rd chapter. In the 4th chapter too, Karma Yoga continues, and the connection between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, first mentioned in the 3rd chapter, is very strongly reinforced in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. So what exactly is it? Karma Yoga is the process by which Karmana Yoga, Yoga means connecting with Sri Bhagavan. Right? Comes from the Yuj dhatu in Sanskrit. Yuj means to connect. So yoga actually essentially means connecting with Bhagavan. Now, how do you do that connection? Through what? So Karma Yoga, Karmana Yoga, or Karma Bihi Yoga means through our karma. Through our karma, through the means of our karma, we connect with Bhagavan. Okay, so why is it like that? It's because in the Varnashrama system, Dharma is practiced through karma. Dharma exists and dharma is manifest, or dharma is executed through our prescribed duties, nitya naimittika karma. And there is a provision. Nitya naimittika means what we are supposed to do, what we are ordained to do. Like a Brahmana has certain duties, Kshatriya has certain duties, Vaishya has certain duties, Shudra has certain duties. And even the Avarniyas, they live in a particular manner that's in harmony with nature. So everybody, through their activities, indirectly, they are worshipping Bhagavan. But now, when they consciously use their activities to connect with Bhagavan, it becomes Karma Yoga. So how do they do that? So we saw in the last session also, there are 3 pillars of Karma Yoga. The first is to say that I don't want the fruits of my action. Whatever I do, the punya that normally people would aspire for. Normally in the system of karma, people do their karma aspiring for the punya that they will get. Right? But now in Karma Yoga, you say that, no, I don't want that punya. Because I don't belong to this world. I don't want to take birth again. I want to belong to Bhagavan. I want to go back to that existence where Bhagavan lives. So keeping that in mind, they say this fruits I don't want. So there is a detachment from the fruits. The second is the pillar of the consciousness that everything is being done by Prakriti, not by me. I'm not the doer anyway. So that justifies the thought of me not wanting the fruits. If I'm not the doer, then I don't have a right to the fruits anyway, right? Logically. And the third item is to say that I offer. So if the fruits are not mine, then who should they be? They belong to Bhagavan. So offering everything to Bhagavan, the 3 pillars of Karma Yoga. So Karmana Yoga, Karma Yoga. Now what happens when somebody does Karma Yoga? Begins Karma Yoga, the word Yoga Rukshu is used in the 6th chapter, means a person who is desirous of progressing in yoga. It's called a Yoga Arurukshuhu. Arurukshuhu means Arodhum Ichuhu, a person who is desirous of elevation. As he does that, at some point of time, he becomes a Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna means one whose mind is firmly fixed, who is able to withdraw himself inside. It's like a tortoise withdraws its limbs within its shell. Okay, he withdraws his senses, his mind, etc. from the sense objects and tries to take pleasure in the self, starts experiencing pleasure within himself, understands that I am not this body, I am not matter, I am a spiritual being, I am an eternal spiritual being full of consciousness. So understanding that, the Sthita Prajna, he becomes a Sthita Prajna and becomes established, and then his Karma Yoga becomes even better. His Karma Yoga becomes even more intense, even more pure, even more impactful, right? So as he does that, eventually he reaches a point called Yoga Rudha. Yoga Rudha means one who is now elevated in the path of yoga, in the path of Karma Yoga. So this is a process of jnana, knowledge. You see, the jnana here, the word jnana in the first 6 chapters of Gita, essentially refers to this realization of one's spiritual nature. Knowing that I am not this body, I am a spiritual being, I am eternal, I'm full of consciousness, this body is temporary. So that consciousness, that full realization is called jnana. The path of Karma Yoga slowly opens that jnana to us because it removes Rajoguna, Tamoguna and makes us more and more sattvic. Sattva-guna increases in us as we do Karma Yoga. That's the intention of Karma Yoga. As Sattva-guna increases, knowledge, jnana becomes more and more evident. And jnana is already present in us. It's not coming from anywhere outside. Jnana is a part of us. It's a part of the Atma. We are the Atma. Jnana is a part of us. And so that jnana, we become more and more conscious of our own jnana. That jnana reveals itself. It becomes evident to us. Okay, so Yoga Rudha is a stage where once jnana is so much revealed, so much uncovered. So it's a process of uncovering the jnana, not about getting jnana from outside, but uncovering our own jnana, which is already inside. So when the jnana is sufficiently uncovered and we become very highly conscious of it, we are so much absorbed in it. The person doing karma yoga has now reached a stage where he's so much absorbed in the jnana that his dependence on outside, anything outside, becomes almost negligible. He hardly has to depend on anything outside for his sustenance. Even if he doesn't get food, he doesn't get clothing, he doesn't have anything to sleep on, he won't bother, it won't disturb him because there's so much happiness coming from inside. He's experiencing a continuous sense of happiness inside, a contentment, that he doesn't feel the need for it. But just to preserve the body, to continue the process till death naturally comes, he takes some shelter. He may have a roof on his head, he may wear something. So that's how great yogis live in, even today live in the Himalayas, because they have achieved that level of jnana. Okay? So that's called yoga ruda. Now, what happens after this? This is where the Gita, there is a debate. If you see the first 6 chapters, from the third chapter onwards, this begins. This question by Arjuna: what should I do? Should I fight this war or should I not fight? Should I leave and go? You don't seem to be telling it clearly. And again, in the 5th chapter, he asks the same question. So here, basically, Arjuna's confusion comes from, it seems Krishna is talking about 2 different things here. One is he says you continue to do your activities, and the other is he says you give up your activities and just withdraw from everything. Withdraw, like withdrawing the senses from the sense object, like a tortoise withdraws its limbs inside the shell. So if I, how can I do both? How can I both withdraw and do this? So this confusion is sorted out very nicely in the 5th chapter. Okay. So here you see 2 things being talked about. One is called karma sannyasa. The word karma sannyasa literally means refraining from activity. That's literal meaning. That is, you stop doing your karma. And now, because you don't need your karma anymore, nor does there's any obligation, because you've reached that level of jnana and you don't desire anything. When you don't desire anything, there is no punya or papa, whatever you do. Whatever actions happen, it won't give any pap, nor will it give any punya. It is just there. So such a person, he is now in a stage where he can sit in one place and do dhyan. He can contemplate on his own self. He can contemplate on Bhagavan's form. His mind is ready for that. His mind is so much in his control that he can fix it on whatever he wants. If he wants to fix it on Bhagavan, he can easily fix it on Bhagavan and Bhagavan will appear before him. If he wants to fix it on himself, he can do that also. He's got so much power in his hands. So he's ready for Jnana Yoga. That is Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga means Jnanena Yoga. Just like Karmana Yoga, Jnanena Yoga. Through Jnana, you perform yoga. Now you are connecting to Bhagavan through the Jnana that you have uncovered within yourself, through the power of that Jnana. Okay, that is why, unless one becomes a Yoga Ruda, and this is why Krishna warns again and again in the Gita, at least in 2, 3 places he warns, 3rd chapter and 5th chapter both, that unless you are in this stage, you should not do karma sannyas. You should not leave your activities and go and sit in one place, because it will become mithyachar. Right? You'll just be meditating on your objects, and you will just be thinking about what to enjoy next, when the next food will come, who will come and worship you next. That's what your mind will be thinking about. You will not be thinking about yourself, or you will not be thinking about Bhagavan. This is the path of Jnana Yoga, and this is very much within the rights of the person who has become a Yoga Ruda. So 6th chapter, he explains dhyana, the process of dhyana and so on. But he also advises that between the 2 options, continue doing your karma versus karma sannyas, is continue doing your karma. Karma yoga vishishyate, he says in the 5th chapter. So he says that I would recommend for you that even after you reach the stage of yoga rudha and have uncovered so much jnana within yourself, please do what is called as loka sangraha. Loka sangraha means you please continue doing your karma as if you are any Aam Admi, like anybody else. Because by doing that, you will be setting a good example for others and this world will run well. And I want that. I want this world to run properly. That is Bhagavan's intention. Right? He wants everybody to be peaceful. He wants people to live in a proper system with discipline. So he wants to see that dharma going on. And he says, if you leave and go, then some people will imitate you who are not qualified. And that will disrupt society. So therefore, please continue and do Loka Sangraha. So this idea is the basic difference between continuing to do Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas or Jnana Yoga. So both options are possible. And either way, he says, Ekam Sankhyam Cha Yogam Cha. He says both of them lead to the same destination. Whether you do Loka Sangraha and continue to do karma yoga, or you do karma sannyas and do jnana yoga at that point of time, you will become deeper in the jnana. Eventually, the Gita says that bhakti is the supreme. Without bhakti, mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Without bhakti, jnana does not give mukti. Jnana by itself cannot give mukti. The reason is because jnana exists in a stage of sattva. When one is under the very high stage of sattva, when rajas and tamas are extremely low in somebody and the influence of sattva is very high, at that point of time one experiences this jnana, and jnana keeps one in that stage of sattva. One's ahankara is not dissolved. One's identity as oneself being very knowledgeable, even if one thinks I am a jivatma, one still thinks I am a knowledgeable person, I am this, I am that, and that keeps that person in samsara. So a person with very high level of jnana leaves his body unless he has performed bhakti, or he is performing bhakti and is connected with Bhagavan and bhakti, he will not get mukti from this world. So at that point of time, if he performs bhakti, then he gets mukti, and beyond mukti, much higher than mukti, is what is called as prema. Bhagavad-gita talks a lot about mukti. It's Mukti Shastra. Mukti is a dominant theme of Bhagavad-gita. Again and again, this theme will start coming as we go forward. It's already there in the first 6 chapters. Prema is very indirectly spoken about in the Gita. Prema is spoken about much more elaborately in the Bhagavatam, which you can say is a more elaborate version of the ideas discussed in the Gita. So this whole process of karma and jnana yoga, since our focus right now is on the first 6 chapters, particularly the last part of the first 6 chapters, the second 3 chapters of the first 6 chapters. So I am focusing only on karma yoga and jnana yoga. I'm not going into bhakti yoga at this moment. Okay, so essentially, karma and jnana, the paths are a path of increasing jnana and increasing sukha, increasing happiness. More and more happiness as jnana comes, happiness increases, contentment increases. Jnana and sukha continuously increase all the way from the start till the point the person gets mukti. And beyond mukti, then there is complete happiness, uninterrupted happiness. So now we will also talk about the characteristics of jnana and eventually the characteristics of the jnani as well. So we begin with the idea that karma yoga, essentially the goal of karma yoga is to foster the emergence of jnana. For example, in the 33rd shloka of the 4th chapter, Sri Bhagavan says, Sarvam karma akhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. All the karma that you're doing in karma yoga, jnane parisamapyate. It concludes, its conclusion, its aim, its target is jnana, is to attain jnana. And so jnana, how is it obtained? The role of the guru is mentioned in the Bhagavad-gita. It says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. So karma yoga is not something you can perform by just reading a book. Okay, although in a book you can understand what is involved in karma yoga. But merely by reading the book, you don't perform karma yoga. You have to go to a guru. And the guru will show you what is wrong with you. The guru's job is to find the fault in the disciple, find the mistakes of the disciple, and show him what the correct thing is, how to go on the correct path, what he should do, what he should not do. Upadekshanti, they will show you. Upadekshanti means they will show you what you cannot see. They will help you in seeing what you cannot see, and they will give you jnana. And they are tattvadarshis. Tattvadarshinaha means they have already seen it. So if you have to go to a guru who is already in that stage of jnana, if somebody is not in the stage of jnana, then merely by giving diksha to you, you will not get jnana. You will only get what he has, right? Any guru. And this is a general principle. You go to anybody to learn something, you can only learn about what he has. If he doesn't have that thing, he cannot teach that thing to you. Okay, that's a general rule anyway. So that applies to jnana yoga also, karma yoga and jnana yoga also. If you want that jnana, then that person should be a tattvadarshi. He should be having that knowledge. And so what does the disciple do? The disciple, it's not like registering in a university and, filling up some forms, writing some exam, getting there and then demanding, okay, now give me the knowledge. Okay. So here, pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So pranipataha means with humility. with, you fall at the feet of the Guru and say, I'm humble, I'm in front of you, I'm nobody. Please help me. Pranipataha. Pariprashnaha means asking questions intelligently around what the Guru is saying, not asking random questions. Okay? Pariprashna means prashna connected to what the Guru wants to give you. The Guru is speaking something, understanding his mind and asking intelligent questions, asking relevant questions, relevant inquiries with a mood of humility, not challenging the Guru, not trying to prove the Guru is wrong, right? So pariprashnena sevaya, and by doing seva. Seva is that activity which gives happiness to the other person to whom we are doing seva. Right? Otherwise, it's not seva. Seva is not merely like carrying a mail. It's like doing something, understanding what the other person will be happy with and executing it. So by doing this, one becomes eligible to have that jnana, and by the blessings of Guru, one is able to uncover one's jnana. Jnana uplifts even the most sinful person. So these are all very sweet words in the Gita. It says, Apichedasi papebhyaha sarvebhyo papakrittamaha sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. Says, even if somebody is the most sinful, papebhya sarvebhya papakrittamaha means the number one papi. Papakrittamaha means the best among the papis, more papi than anybody else. Even such a person. Sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. So vrijinam is the ocean of sin, means you have done so much pap in your samsara, means you have been existing for so many births, and birth after birth pap has happened, right? So much huge mountain of pap is there, or you can say huge ocean of pap is there. But jnana plavam, plava means a boat. So with the boat of jnana, with the boat of this jnana, this pure spiritual jnana, you will be able to cross over that sin. Which means even that most sinful person, jnana is so powerful that even that person cannot say that I am not eligible for jnana, because even that person can get jnana and be able to cross over. It is so powerful. Jnana destroys our past karma just as fuel burns firewood. Yathaidhamsi samidhognir bhasmasat kurute Arjuna. Jnanagnihi sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Just like Edhamsi, Samiddaha Agnihi Bhasmasat Kurute. There is some fuel, right? If there is some fuel, a nicely burning fire, Samiddaha Agnihi, not just a spark, but a nice fire. What does it do? It just reduces that fuel into ashes. Let's say firewood or anything, any kind of fuel. In the same way, jnana is just like a fire. What does it do? It takes that mountain of pap that we have. Not only pap here, it says sarva karmani, means punya also. All the punya. Let's say that we have done punya also. Give the benefit of doubt to that person. He's not only a papi, he's done some punya also. So over lifetimes, there are two mountains. One is the mountain of pap and another is the mountain of punya. And both the mountain of pap and the mountain of punya bind a person to this world. Jnana releases that binding. How does it do that? It burns both the mountains to ashes. Both of them are gone. Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Therefore, jnana is the purest thing in this world. So he says, Shri Bhagavan, nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate tat swayam yoga samsiddhaha kalena atmani vindati. There is nothing in this samsara that is as pure as jnana. Nahi jnanena sadrisham, similar to jnana, equal to jnana, pavitram, pure, iha vidyate. Tat swayam yoga samsiddhaha kalena atmani vindati. In course of time, kalena means in due course of time, yoga samsiddhaha, one who has been sincerely endeavoring for yoga and has reached perfection, samsiddhaha, reached the stage of perfection. So at least you can say, at least the stage of being a yogaruda, that level of perfection, swayam kalena atmani vindati, experiences that within himself. Experiences within himself. It's not given from outside, experiences within himself. So, Brahmanyadhaya karmani, this is the 5th chapter. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyatena sa papena padmapatram mivambhasa. So, a person who now, being in that stage, okay, he's talking about the path of loka sangraha, being in that stage of jnana where he is fully conscious of his knowledge, pure knowledge. He places Brahmani Adhaya Karmani. All his karma, he says, is now offered to Bhagavan. Everything is Bhagavan's. Everything is being done by him. Everything goes into him. Right? Brahmaharpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina is in the fourth chapter. Right? Everything is offered to Brahman. Everything is made of Brahman. Everything is belonging to Brahman, and everything is offered to him. He thinks like that. So thinking with that consciousness, Sangam Tyaktva, he has no attachment to anything else. He does everything. Tyaktva Karoti, he does all his karma. If he is a Brahmana, he does Brahmana's karma. If he is Kshatriya, he does Kshatriya karma. Whatever he is, he does that karma. If he is a tribal, he does tribal's karma. Whatever karma he has, he does that. Then what happens? He doesn't get lipyate na sapapena padma patramiva ambhasa. Just like a lotus leaf on the water. Padma patram means lotus leaf. Ambhasa, if it's on water, the lotus leaf does not become wet by the water. So you would think that the lotus leaf, because it's floating on water, right? It would be always wet. It would be drenched. If I pick it out, then first I have to dry it. You don't have to dry it. You can just take it as it is. It will be dry because the water cannot wet that leaf. The nature of that leaf is like that. So it's just like that. So even though our karma, by normal course of doing activity, we by default get pap because we are killing so many living beings. Okay, we are harming something unintentionally. We are not intending to kill anything, but unintentionally, for example, if I sweep the floor, some half a dozen insects may get killed without my even seeing them. I can't even see them, right? So pap is always there, and to purify oneself of that pap, different types of yajnas are done every day, right? Bhuta yajna, Nra yajna, Deva yajna, Rishi yajna. This all system of yajnas are meant to keep purifying ourselves of the pap that we keep doing every day, right? But now, this person who is in jnana and who is doing his actions without any desire for enjoyment, offering everything to Bhagavan, knowing that everything belongs to him and nothing is mine, keeping that consciousness, does not get any pap. Lipyatena sapapena padmapatram ivambhasa. So jnana is just like a sun. Jnanena tuta jnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. This analogy is given in the 5th chapter of how jnana, which appears as it uncovers itself, is just like a sun rising. When the sun rises, you don't have to, perform a process to remove darkness. It's not like a two-step process. First remove the darkness, then let the sun rise. No. Automatically, when the sun rises, automatically darkness gets dispelled and everything becomes very clear, right? There's clarity. So just let's say a few minutes before, you could not see anything, right? Nothing was visible. Everything was, dark, hazy, and you are very careful when you're walking because there's no light. So you might fall into a pit, you might step on some snake, you're scared. But in just a few minutes, the sun just comes up. And the moment it comes up, what was darkness a few minutes before just doesn't exist anymore. And everything is very clear, crystal clear. You can see everything. That's exactly how it is. When that jnana manifests itself from inside and it becomes visible, the person becomes conscious of their jnana. All of reality everything falls into place. And all his anxieties go away. He sees reality exactly as it is. He knows how everything works, why it is like the way it is, and what his role is, where he is, what he ought to do, what he ought not to do. Everything becomes clear. That's the meaning of saying jnana removes all darkness. Everything falls into place. There is no need to ask anybody for advice. Everything is from inside after that, right? And so, because of this, yeah, jnana frees one permanently from material bondage. And the same shloka I have cited again. How? Because of the virtue of freeing you from the punya and the papa, there is no rebirth for that person. If that person doesn't want to be born again, then that person doesn't take a material body again. His will of being free from this world then will act. That power is there in his hand. Very important that Sri Bhagavan says, after hearing all this, unless one has Shraddha, there is no progress on the path of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So he says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriyaha jnanam labdhva param shantim achirena adhigacchati agyascha shraddhadhanascha samshayatma vinashyati nayam lokosti na paro na sukham samshayatmanah. So if we don't have Shraddha, what happens is we cannot make, and this principle of Shraddha applies to anything we do. I mean, even take the fact that you are doing, you're pursuing a 2-year BM degree, or pursuing a FPM here. Now, if you don't have the faith that by doing that degree that you're doing, something good will come to you in the future. You'll be able to make a career out of it, or you'll be able to, find some happiness because of that. If a person starts the process by saying, I really don't know. I don't know why I've come here. Some people say that. I mean, I sometimes meet students who speak like that. And when I talk to them confidentially, they reveal to me, sir, I really don't know why I came here. I was doing a job for some time. I was not happy with the job. So I saw this application form. I just applied. And now I've landed up here. I don't know why. I don't even know whether I'll be able to complete this. Just a few days back, one student was telling me in the first year. So, I mean, if this is the case, then it's only a mercy of the process. The process may push you, and finally you may find yourself getting the diploma that you're supposed to get. But you don't really make much progress unless somebody knows why they have come here with clarity. And that is the same as what he's saying here. Shraddha in the process, with clarity, that, okay, if I do this, because I'm beginning Karma Yoga. When I begin Karma Yoga, it's a huge process ahead of me. There's so much to be done, so much sacrifice, so much tapasya, so much austerity. I cannot do it if I don't have the Shraddha. That's why Agyascha Ashraddha Dhanasta Shamshayatma Vinashyati. Person who has got a doubt will fall down. Okay, just like in any other process, it applies to Karma Yoga also. Nayam lokosti na paro na sukham shamshayatmana. That person will not be happy in this lifetime, nor in the next lifetime, in a future lifetime, because he will always be in doubt about whatever he's doing. He's lost, he's searching, right? So therefore, please develop Shraddha and do it. And it's also relevant why Shri Bhagavan says this, because if you see Arjuna's, the character Arjuna is playing in the Gita, he's put in that position. Arjuna is not eternally like that. He's actually a Nitya Parshad of Bhagavan. He's Nara, right? But in the Gita, he is a Samshayatma. He's put as a Samshayatma, person with doubt. His mind is in doubt. And from the beginning till the end of the Gita, he is always in doubt. Shri Bhagavan is saying something. If you actually trace the conversation closely, you will see that he jumps. Shri Bhagavan is trying to take him in some direction. He's pointing to some conclusions. But he takes Bhagavan away from there. He asks some question which has no connection to what Bhagavan just now said. He takes him to something else. You see that happening multiple times in the Gita, right? So at the end, finally, Shri Bhagavan concludes the Gita by saying, now I have told you whatever I have to tell you. And yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. Whatever you want, you do. I can't tell you anything more. It's already time. I mean, people are waiting here for this battlefield to start. You do whatever you want to do. Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. Because even at that point of time, Arjuna is not convinced of what Bhagavan is trying to tell him. Bhagavan has been trying to tell him, you get up and fight. Yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. Multiple times in the Gita, he tells him, get up and fight, right? And it is not the quality of a disciple. A disciple means person, because he says, I become your shishya. In the beginning, he says, I'm your shishya, please instruct me. Now, if somebody is really a shishya, then he doesn't have to be told more than once. In fact, real shishyatva means that a person doesn't have to be told even once. The shishya is supposed to be intelligent enough to understand what the guru wants without the guru having to say it. The guru should not have to say it. Just by observing the guru, watching what the guru does, how he talks to other people, what is he expressing as his desire, etc. The disciple is expected to understand the guru's mind and carry out what is pleasing to the guru. That is called seva. Seva doesn't happen in the best possible way when the guru has to tell you, do this, and then you do it. Without the guru having to tell you, if you understand his mind and do it, that is the best form of seva. The guru is most happy with that. Says, this disciple really knows my mind. So in this case, despite Krishna telling him so many times, get up and fight, multiple times in the Gita, he says, now stop this, get up and start fighting. Be enthusiastic about fighting, do your duty. It doesn't do it. Keeps on asking more and more questions, right? So Arjuna is a Samshayatma, and so he points out like this, don't be a Samshayatma, develop Shraddha and do this with Shraddha and you will get the benefit of doing that. Okay, and that is very relevant to us in whatever we do. Yeah, so this is an important thing. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. A person who has this jnana, this is a property of a jnani. A jnani's quality is that he sees everything with equal vision. Okay, everything means there's no discrimination. Once he becomes a jnani, there's no question of this is a Brahmana, this is a Kshatriya, this is a Shudra, this is a Chandala, this is nothing. There's no difference. All are Jivatma. Everything is a part of Bhagavan. And this is the same vision that a person in the path of bhakti also has, right from the beginning. Bhakti goes beyond this identification of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Chandala, etc. Bhakti sees everybody as a part of Bhagavan, including oneself, right? And so jnana, the benefit of jnana, these are all the outcomes of jnana. How a jnani sees this world is first he sees everybody as equal. Here, the specific things are given. A Brahmana, what does a jnani see? He sees a Brahmana, he sees a cow, a go. Hasti means a elephant. A Shuni means in a dog. Shvapaka, one who eats the meat of a dog, is called Shvapaka, Chandal. So such a person. A Pandita, Pandita means a jnani. He sees everybody as the same. He doesn't discriminate between them. Samadarshi, equality of vision. It's a beautiful shloka which says, Yatha dhipo nivatasto nengate sopamasmruta yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. Just like the yogi's mind, the person who is now in the stage of jnana, how is his mind? How is it like? It's just like a lamp. Suppose I take a lamp and keep it in a place where there is absolutely no movement of the air. There is no wind blowing. Okay, there is air, of course. Otherwise, the lamp won't glow. But even though there is air, the air is not moving. The air is absolutely steady. Okay. So in your house also, you can create that. Let's say that you put off the fan, close all the doors, windows, everything. Just light a candle. And after some time, you will see that the candle is absolutely still. You also don't move, you sit quietly. It may be very hot, but for some time you sit quietly, you will see that the flame remains exactly like that, as if it's frozen. The flame gets frozen, right? So this is how the yogi's mind is. The mind of a jnani is able to fix it on something and it remains there. It doesn't waver. It doesn't go here and there. Okay. So later on in the sixth chapter, again, Arjuna will ask Krishna about the chanchala nature of the mind, chanchalatvam himana Krishna. So we will come to that in the next session when we talk about controlling the mind and the senses. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajatyekattvamastithah sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Says one who sees me everywhere. This is a characteristic of a jnani who sees Bhagavan everywhere, who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. Sarvam cha mai pashyati, tasyaham na pranashyami. I will never be lost to that person. And he will never be lost to me. He and I are intimately connected. So he sees that I am situated in everything. Bhajati ekatvam astitaha. At that stage, when he sees this, then bhakti comes to him. This is a shloka actually pointing to bhakti. It says in that stage of jnana, he is ready for bhakti. Okay, bhakti is not, of course, a consequence of jnana. Bhakti is not an outcome of jnana. Bhakti is given by the kripa of a bhakta. But bhakti can prepare one for the stage of jnana can prepare one for the stage of doing bhakti because it's in the stage of sattva. And in that stage of jnana, one who sees with humility that everything belongs to Bhagavan. I belong to Bhagavan. Everything resides in him. Everywhere there is Bhagavan. So there is a very favorable condition for bhakti. So sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. So although he may be present here and there, sarvata, or he may be doing different kinds of things. Sarvata vartamanaha means he may be in different kinds of situations. He may be doing different kinds of activities. He may be going to different places. But you must know that all the time he is present inside me. He is always in me. I am never lost to him. He is never lost to me. He can see me all the time and I can see him all the time. We are always intimately connected to each other. Okay, and when we read the Bhagavatam in the story of Prahlad, in the Saptama Skanda of Bhagavatam, the narrative of Prahlad is present. It described how Prahlad was like this. all the time. There was not a moment when he could not see Bhagavan. He could feel that Bhagavan was touching him all the time. He could feel Bhagavan's hand on him. That close he was to Bhagavan. Okay. And naturally, you could see in Prahlad's Leela that how, despite the most powerful person, his own father, trying to kill him multiple times, Prahlad has absolutely no fear. He's completely fearless, right? For him, it's just like probably watching a movie. It's as fearless as that. He's just beyond fear, no anxiety. He's not worried. He's not pleading with his father. He's not trying to convince his father. He doesn't try. You never see in that conversation in the Saptama Skanda, Prahlad trying to convince his father logically that Vishnu is the supreme. Never. His father just asks him a question. What have you learned? He says, this is what I learned. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. Iti Pumsharpita Vishno, Bhaktischennava Lakshana, Kriyeta Bhagavatyadha, Tanmanye, Adhitam Uttamam. So what I have learned is that I have learned that doing all these forms of seva to Vishnu is the greatest thing to do for a human being, and a human being ought to be doing that. He's not trying to convince his father. His father asked him a question, so he replied, and he keeps quiet. That's all. So his father throws him out of his lap. He is not bothered. He doesn't protest. There's no protest. There's nothing, because he's beyond that. He's completely beyond that. Okay, this is a stage of a jnani. And of course, in the case of Prahlad, he's not merely a jnani. He's also a jnani bhakta who has jnana with him. Right? He's beyond the stage of a jnani. And for all these reasons, the jnana of the jnani gives him ultimate happiness. You read this is so sweet, these shlokas in the Gita, 6th chapter, the 20th shloka to the 23rd shloka. He says, Yatropa ramate chittam, where the mind is having so much happiness. Niruddham means unobstructed happiness. Yoga sevaya, by doing yoga. Yatra cha eva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. By his mind, through his mind, is able to see the self, and he takes complete happiness in the self. He doesn't feel the need for anything else. Sukham atyantikam. Sukham atyantikam yattat. Atyantikam means what? Atyantam. Atyanta means extreme, right? Extreme happiness. Okay, the kind of happiness that we cannot imagine in our mind. Yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam. It cannot be, this kind of happiness is something that you cannot conceive of in the mind or intelligence. Buddhigrahyam atindriyam. It is beyond what you can capture with your mind or your senses. That kind of happiness. Vetti yatra na chaivayam stitas chalati tattvataha. So he doesn't move anywhere. He's completely absorbed in that happiness. It is not transient or wavering happiness. It is fixed happiness, non-stop. And then he says, Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyante nadhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena guranapi vichalyate. Says, having obtained which, yam labdhva cha aparam labham, having obtained which, cha aparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha, having obtained which, he sees that there is nothing higher than this to be obtained. He feels like that. I can't get anything better than this. This is the best possible thing that anybody can get. He has that feeling. Yasmin sthitaha, situated in which, na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. Even by the most gurunapi dukkhena. Guruna means very heavy. By a very heavy form of misery. By some very, very intense or painful misery, by some intense suffering, even by that, he will not be shaken. He will not be disturbed. Even if some very bad misery comes to such a person, he will not be disturbed, he says. Tam vidyat, so know that. Tam vidyat, know that. Dukkha sanyoga viyogam, that which is completely free from all contact with misery. Yoga samhitham, that is what is called as yoga. All this time I have been using the word yoga since the second chapter. Now, please understand, O Arjuna, that this is what I mean by yoga. That is called yoga. Sa nischayena yoktavyaha. That is what you definitely ought to do. Yogaha anirvinna chetasa. This kind of yoga should be done anirvinna chetasa. Anirvinna means one who is free from anxiety. Nirvinna means anxious or doubtful, confused. So anirvinna chetasa, with a clear mind, with a clear resolution, free from any anxiety, any doubt, fear, just do this yoga and you will attain this. Okay, Sri Bhagavan says this. So these are the thoughts of the first few themes. We talked about how Shri Bhagavan's nature is very divine, but for us to realize that nature, we need to perform yoga. And very broadly speaking, the Gita has two paths of yoga. One is the path of karma yoga, which goes into jnana yoga. And the other is the path of bhakti yoga. And even in the path of karma yoga, you see where it takes us. It takes us to that intense happiness and realization, knowledge. And if bhakti is added to this, then the person also gets mukti, ultimate liberation from this material existence. So I will now be happy to take your questions, any doubts, comments.
Sir.
Yes, Sarthak, shall we go to our mic? Again, the mic experiment continues today. I brought this same old mic. Let's see if it works. But in the meantime, you can ask as I get this on.
So, my first question was about the story that you had narrated about Sri Vamana Avatar. There you say that King Bali was the master of three worlds. So, what are the three worlds that we talk about? Tino loko ke talking to. Which three lokas are we talking?
I think they're talking about no. To my knowledge, it is Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, and Swargaloka. The three. That's called the three lokas. Okay. It doesn't include the other 11. This is the three lokas. The three systems are three. The three, the top 5, the middle 2, and the bottom 7. So Triloka, to my understanding, is this these three. This is what he conquers. Bali, being on the earth, being on Bhuloka, he goes and captures Swargaloka also. In between, Bhuvarloka is also there. And that much is what he has. But Bhagavan covers beyond that also. Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, Bali does not capture. They are higher than Maharloka. They are all higher than Swargaloka. He doesn't capture that. Similarly, he's not interested in the lower systems. He's interested primarily in Indraloka. He captures that. So he sees that now Bhagavan has occupied so much that what he has with him is only a small part of that. Bhagavan occupies the entire universe.
So the second question that I have, previous slide we discussed that one gets mukti, gets freedom from the cycle of rebirth. So is this freedom for this kalpa or this Brahma or how long is this freedom for?
It's nitya, means it's eternal. Once he gets mukti, then there is no janma again. If a person attains mukti, then there is no janma again. That is if he wants that. If he doesn't want to take janma again. Otherwise, as part of Bhagavad Leela, Bhagavan's Nitya Parshadas, they take birth along with him or they appear, they manifest themselves along with him by the arrangement of his Yoga Maya. And they go back with him when he leaves this samsara, when he disappears from our vision, then they also disappear with him.
A person who has got mukti with the change of to take a rebirth.
Yeah, he wouldn't be forced to. It's not because of his karma. So if he at all takes a birth again, it is Bhagavad Leela.
Sir, we talked about Brahman also in today's lecture. So can you please tell how are Ishvara or Sri Bhagavan and Paramatma and Brahman related? And
the difference between, okay, Sri Bhagavatam says in the Bhagavatam, Vadanti tat tattvavidaha tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So Sri Bhagavan is known by two other terms, Brahma and Paramatma. Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So why are these different terms used? It's not because they are three different entities. It's not also because there are three aspects of Bhagavan. They are not three aspects of Bhagavan. They are the same Bhagavan only. But there are three different ways in which a person can realize Bhagavan or a person aspires to realize Bhagavan. Three broad ways, you can say three categories of ways. So there is a whole class of people who believe that the ultimate reality, what we call as Bhagavan, is something, is just a consciousness. It's just a formless consciousness. It has no guna, it has no features. It has no avyavas. Yeah. So it's a it's a niravyayi, niravayavi, avayava. Avayava means or parts, limbs. So it's a niravayavi. It doesn't have any avayava, limbs, parts. It's just one homogeneous consciousness, which they call as Brahma. It has no features, it has no qualities. So all the features and qualities we see now, for example, now we see differentiation. You are Sarthak, I am Ajit. You have a particular appearance, I have a different appearance. So we all have, each one of us has got our own characteristics, our features, etc. So such people believe that this is just a manifestation of Maya. And in the ultimate reality, there is just formlessness, complete formlessness. There's no characterization. There's no avayava. Right? It's just one homogeneous consciousness. And that such people worship that Bhagavan as Brahma.
This is Abheda.
Yeah. So this points to, this is how Advaitavadis talk about him. Yeah. So this is one way that people worship him, and they try to attain that consciousness. They believe that, see here also in the Gita, what we have discussed today is at a very general level. It can point to Brahman, it can point to Bhagavan. It's not talking about Bhagavan's Rupa, Guna, Leela, etc. Like the Bhagavatam talks about.
So
Brahman is not. Brahman is a conception. What we refer to as Brahman is the same Bhagavan. Brahman actually has got Akar. Brahman is Bhagavan himself. The same Bhagavan appears like that. In the Gita he says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante, ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tathaiva bhajamyaham. So how people approach me, I reciprocate or I reveal myself to them in the same manner. So if somebody thinks of him like that, then he will reveal himself like that, in that manner. That's the whole idea. So he is that only. That's the Brahma is full of features, everything is there, but these people don't realize that. People who worship him like that, they realize what they want to realize. Paramatma is that feature of Sri Bhagavan which pervades this entire universe as an entity which exists with the Atma, with the Jivatma. Paramatma is Maya tatamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. So I pervade this entire universe, right? So what he does is he sits inside everything as as his own expansion or as his own form. Okay, so inside every Jivatma there is one Paramatma. Inside everything there is one presence of Bhagavan, and that manifestation of Bhagavan is called Paramatma. So that we worship in a particular manner. Those who worship that Bhagavan in that manner, they think of Bhagavan like that. For them, that is the dominant conception of Bhagavan. Because that manifestation has got a form, it has got a role. Brahma has no form. Those who think of him as Brahman. Brahman has form. These people think of him as something without form. So the conception in their mind is that Bhagavan, the ultimate reality, has no form. That is why it's called Brahman. So those people who think of him as, so those people who think of Bhagavan as Paramatma, think of him as something that is present in everything as a person. So they acknowledge a personal aspect of Bhagavan as distinct from themselves. Okay, those who think of him as Brahma may not think like that. Advaita actually doesn't think of Brahma as something separate from the Jivatma. They think the Jivatma is just a upadhi, means it's not real. There's nothing called Jivatma. It's the same Brahma which we are misunderstanding as Jivatma. There's no separate Atma. Whereas when you think of him as Paramatma, to my knowledge, those who worship him as Paramatma accept the distinction between themselves and that Paramatma. Paramatma is Sarvagya. Jivatma is Alpagya. Means Paramatma knows everything. Jivatma knows only a little bit. Like that.
Do these three point to different schools, as in Shri Bhagwan say dualist Dvaita and Paramatma Vishishta Dvaita, Brahman Advaita?
Not exactly. Not exactly. Because Visishta Advaita also accepts Bhagavan's feature. Other than Advaita, all the other schools of Vedanta which came, apart from Advaita, they all accept Bhagavan as Bhagavan. That Bhagavan's feature, but of course there is a distinction. The way that Achintya Bheda Bheda followers talk about Bhagavan is different from the way that the Dvaita followers talk about. But there's some fine differences, of course, not some radical differences, fine differences. If you go into that fineness, it will appear radical.
When we talk about
Hmm.
so
The pure Atma is free from the Linga Sharira also. The Linga Sharira also is matter, is Prakriti, is Apara Prakriti. The Jivatma is beyond that Apara Prakriti. Jivatma is Para Prakriti. The Jivatma by itself has no Linga Sharir also. Neither the Stula Sharir nor the Sukshma Sharir. It is pure, is fully pure.
so, sir, when we say
Hmm.
so Upanishads also declare ki Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman.
Hmm.
Then what is the difference? I mean, in terms of Brahman, what is the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma?
The Jivatma and Paramatma are always distinct. There is always a bhed between them. They are never one being. They are distinct living beings. They are always like that. For example, he says, Mamaiva amshaha jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana manah sashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. These jivatmas are my own amshas. Amsha means they are just like me, but they are small fragments compared to me. They are amshas of me. And they are sanatana, means they are always amshas of me. Also in the second chapter, 12th shloka, Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam na ime janadhipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarvevayam ataf param. Means there will never be a time in the future when all of these living beings will cease to exist. There will be no abhav for them. Just like there was no abhav in the past. So this bhav that we are having now is a nitya. It's not just for some time. It's not because of some upadhi that we feel that we are distinct from Brahma. So Paramatma and Jivatma are always distinct from each other.
So, sir,
Yeah. Hmm. Are those who are online able to hear Sarthak's questions? Sarthak is non-stop bombarding me with questions. Are you all able to hear, or you're hearing only my answers?
Not able to hear.
We are very comfortably able to hear your answers, sir, but we do not have the opportunity to hear Sarthak's question.
Okay, he's basically asking me about the distinction between Brahman, Paramatma, Jivatma, and I'm not able to somehow communicate well enough to resolve his doubt. Okay, I'll try once again. Yeah. Last chance for me. Yeah. Yeah. Last chance. Okay. Yeah. What is last question? Yeah. Hmm.
also
Yes.
distinct as-
Yeah. Yeah. Just like you are also Indian, I am also Indian. Both of us are Indians, but we are not one living being. No, we are two living beings. Just like you are also human being, I am also human being. I'm giving an analogy. Right? So two people can belong to the same category but be distinct from each other.
and maybe in other
Yeah.
people see it as part of
Yes.
Brahman is Brahman.
Yes. And therefore, because Paramatma is Brahma, Jivatma naturally is Brahma because it's a part of that. Yes.
It is not
Yeah. Is Paramatma. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Hari
Yeah,
Om,
you can-
I would like to say something about Paramatma and Jivatma to Sarthak.
Yeah, sure. Please.
Yeah, the basic difference is Paramatma has always been a mukta and will always be a mukta. There will never be a time when he will be like a Baddha Jiva, like us. And Jivatmas like us, we had always been amuktas. We were never free. But there is a possibility for us to become Mukta Jivas. But always under Paramatma. We cannot become Paramatma or we cannot attain his position or anything like that. But there is a possibility that we can become Mukta Jivas. We can get out of this Janma and Marana cycle. That possibility is there. But Bhagavan, that never happens and it will never happen and it will never happen in future. That's the basic difference. If that difference is kept in mind and we follow the Bhagavad-Gita, then a lot of questions get resolved at that stage itself.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a good answer. Thank you. Okay. Advaresh has posted some question in the chat here. Ajay says, when we say jnana by guru, does guru here means guru in the form of a human being? Yes, guru means guru in the form of a human being, correct. How does one identify the guru? Similar to that, Advaresh has said, in addition to this, how do you find a guru? One possible answer, looking at the dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjuna, seems like one who clear all, even the ridiculous doubts. Shraddha comes from such a guru. That's how it is, yeah. So it would be right to say Shraddha or Bhakti comes when we rationalize our faith with questions. Yeah, so it depends on the person. It depends on our samskaras, I think. From what I have seen and experienced, different people develop Shraddha in different ways. For some people, it is by hearing logical answers from somebody. When they see somebody who is speaking on the Shastra and I see their acharan is good, and they are very sincere, they are very genuine, they feel attracted to that person. So guru happens by accepting somebody as guru happens with that shraddha that this person can guide me. If I give myself in the hands of this person, then I will make spiritual progress. I'll be able to attain Sri Bhagavan. And when this naturally comes from within, then one accepts that person as guru, or one approaches that person to accept oneself as their disciple. That's how one should say. So may not be the same for everybody. Some people may just develop it in some other way. They may not logically go, but just by intuition, they may feel that this person is the person who will be able to lift me from this world. There are many people like that also. Some of us think logically because we are in this academic profession and we are trained to think logically. So for us, maybe this is how it will work.
Ji.
Advaresh?
Ji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Sir,
Understood.
sir,
Thank
can you show the slide with the shloka 4.38? Just
Yeah.
one in English version of the shloka. Nahi jnane sandarshan pavitramai vidyate.
Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. Wait 1 second. I'll just come out of this thing.
Yes.
Here it is. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You had some doubt on this one?
No, sir, just want to see the English version of this.
Okay. I haven't translated the full shloka here. Basically, it says that there is nothing as pure as jnana, comparable to jnana in this world, in this samsara.
But sir, in the some other text which is where we have believed that the in terms of elements, the Agni is the purest one in this sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Agni is pure in terms of the material elements, but jnana here is not a material element.
Mhm.
It is our chit. It's a property of the Atma. It is something that is, the Atma is basically Sat and Chit, right? Sat and Chit are always part of the Atma, even if it is in the Baddhat state. Do you follow? So it is definitely superior to anything material, this Chit property. So it's realizing that Chit, which is what has been mentioned here. That level of purity is far superior to the purity of Agni also.
Mm.
Agni is a material element. So among the material elements, it has a high level of purity. Yes. Rajpreet, what is your question?
Oh, thank you, sir. So with Sthita Pragna also, it talks about equanimity in terms of not being very happy with happy things and not being very sad with sadness. So
Yes.
that equanimity is also talked about in Jnana. I don't know how to pronounce it, Jnana.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to understand the difference between the two, and from a practical perspective, like given that we cannot leave everything, and
Yes.
so how do we really practically progress towards this jnana yoga?
Yeah.
Jnana yoga.
So you can see this this drawing here. It shows how. Just a minute. I'll just. Oh, Zoom quit. My goodness. Are we out of Zoom now?
So we are here.
No, sir.
You're
We
there,
are
right?
able.
I don't know. I got a message that Zoom has quit. Okay, goodness, we are there. Okay.
Your presentation is, you have stopped
All right,
sharing.
so here we are.
Yeah,
All
sharing
right,
has
look
been.
at this drawing to answer Rajpreet's question. As I understand, Sthita Prajna is a stage when a person progresses in Karma Yoga and develops a certain level of consciousness of his own self and has succeeded in withdrawing themselves to a good extent from this world and has become very peaceful. You see, Apuryamanam Achala Pratishtham Samudramapaha Pravishanti Yadvat Tadvat Kamayam Pravishanti Sarve Sa Shantim Apnoti Na Kama Kami. It shows that a person whose mind is such that even when all the desires are flowing in the mind, the person remains undisturbed by them, doesn't get carried away by those desires. So it's a certain stage of maturity in the path of Karma Yoga. And it's like as you keep progressing further, jnana reveals itself more and more and more, and you become even more mature in that path. You become a yoga rudha, you become a jnani. Different terms used at different stages. That's the only difference between them, in my understanding. They're not two different things.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And how
I
do you
would.
practice? Yeah. You want to add something?
Yes. This Sthita Prajna question. What I would like to say is, if we read the Mahabharatam, the characters of Yudhishthira, all the Pandavas with Draupadi, they are examples, the best examples of Sthita Prajnas that we can think of in today's world. If we analyze the characters of all the Pandavas, none of them are extremely happy or extremely dejected. At the same time, they are enjoying or taking part in all the activities that they are supposed to do. They are Kshatriyas, so they are doing all the Kshatriya activities. They are like Bhima is expressing his anger. Draupadi is expressing her frustration, her anger, her attitude of revenge. The revenge attitude that Draupadi is showing is not out of ignorance, it's out of the sense of duty which her husbands have to follow. So if you analyze each character in the Mahabharata, especially the Pandavas with Draupadi, the Sthita Prajna character or the Sthita Prajna nature of a person becomes very clear to us. Even Sri Ramachandra, Sri Lakshmana, Mata Sita, all of them, they personify Sthita Prajnas.
So Sthita Prajna is one who is able to perform their work. They attend to their work undisturbed by the ups and downs which come. They do their work as a matter of duty, right? As a matter of duty, everything happens with commitment. There is no question of getting disturbed by momentary successes and failures, or even the ultimate success or failure in the work. Correct?
Yes, true.
So how can we practice it? So Rajpreet, what do you feel? How do you think?
So the only thing that is coming to my mind is that, if you don't enjoy those small moments of happiness or success or those emotions, then also you miss out on something, right?
Yeah, so it's not about not enjoying them. See, when there is a moment of joy, you feel the moment of joy. When there is a moment of sadness, if somebody close to you passes away, you do feel sad. But what it means is that you don't get disturbed by it. It doesn't strike you down. It doesn't confuse you. You're able to see things in perspective. So even when you see that, for example, like I always say this, when you put some very tasty object in your mouth, let's say a gulab jamun, then naturally you experience the taste and you relish the taste. So sthita pragyata does not mean that you should not relish the taste of a gulab jamun. You relish the taste, but you don't get carried away by it. You don't eat 5 gulab jamuns one after the other just because you liked one. You don't hanker for it. You don't get drawn by it. You don't get dragged by it. You know that, okay, it's right for me to eat half a gulab jamun today. Fine, you had that, relished it, and it's over. So when the moment of joy comes, you experience the joy, but you don't get carried away by it. You don't get drawn by it. That is the meaning of sthita pragya. Literally, the words mean sthita means what? Situated. In pragya. Pragya means wisdom, true wisdom. One who is properly situated or firmly situated in wisdom. That's the meaning of sthita pragya. So experience of joy and sadness is very much there. All sensual sensations are all there. All of them remain, and maybe they even become better. But you don't get disturbed by them. Your work continues. Your focus remains focus. You don't lose focus.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that, sir. It was helpful. And jnana would be the next form or the next level of this.
The next level of this is when the same thing intensifies. It becomes more and more intense. Your detachment. Detachment means where you don't get disturbed by whatever happens. You experience everything but don't get disturbed by it. You're conscious of everything. Your dedication, your attachment to Bhagavan. See, detachment from this world comes when attachment to Bhagavan becomes stronger and stronger. Attachment to that reality becomes stronger and stronger, right? So it's just an extrapolation of the same process.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Is the screen sharing on? Are you all able to see the screen? No, it is gone.
No, sir. Screen
But the
sharing is
screen
off.
is not visible, sir, now.
Okay, that is what I think went out. Let me see if I can share it again quickly. Okay, that has failed actually. For some reason, the screen sharing feature of the Zoom has failed. That's what I think the message was about. Okay, doesn't matter. Shall we close for today? Any other questions for today? Or we will close. I'll just chant the Shanti mantra and then we will close. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदगुं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुराततं तद्विप्रासो विपन्यवो जागृवागुंसः समिन्धते विष्णोर्यत्परमं पदं पर्याप्त्या अनन्तरायाय सर्वस्तमोतिरात्र उत्तममहर्भवति सर्वस्याप्त्यै सर्वस्य जित्यै सर्वमेव तेनाप्नोति सर्वं जयति ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरि ओम तत्सत्।